Good evening. This is John Bailey, and this is People to be Heard, the program where people who have something to say have their say. And tonight, you've got Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. Welcome to the program, Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you, John. Really appreciate you.
Right. And tonight, we're joined by, of course, Jim Benerofe, regularly here in People to be Heard, and a special guest, Bob Marrone, who is the morning man at WVOX Radio, and also is very much involved in the business of getting women and minority businesses to get more contracts. And Mr. Jenkins is here because he is the chair of the task force trying to encourage women and minority businesses to get not only county contracts, but also contracts with organizations around the county.
Yes.
Tell us where the task force is now. What is next?
So we had our initial task force meeting. Certainly a group of individuals, included all sectors, connected both with our business community, with both Westchester County Association, the Business Council of Westchester, and making sure that we had tremendous support from different parts of our community. The focus of the Minority and Women Business Task Force, and it was my privilege to be appointed by County Executive George Latimer to lead this particular effort, to talk with our partner Bridget Gibbons, who is the Deputy Director of Economic Development, working with all of the people around Westchester County, the businesses, the educational facilities, and certainly our financial institutions, trying to encourage business. Westchester County, most people don't realize, in our county law, it is a requirement that we track and encourage minority and women-owned business. So there is a report that wasn't produced for the last couple of years, but it was a requirement in the county law to do that, and to be able to show where our business is going. When we connect with the federal government, there's a requirement to have minority and women business contractors at that level. So the task force initial meeting was to first identify really three kind of key components of what the issue is for minority and women business with Westchester County. We have a database right now that had over 1,500 names on that list, where people had identified what kind of businesses that they may have been involved in, engaged with, and they would routinely get requests to participate in the county contracting process. So the three functions are, one is an administrative function to say, hey, all right, do we have the right people categorized in the right list, and being able to get the information. How do we identify someone is an MWBE, their state certification, do we need a separate certification, those kind of things. The second part is to set some goals. Director of Operations Joan McDonald has tremendous experience from economic development when she did that in New York City and the state of Connecticut, and certainly when she was running the Department of Transportation when those requirements are in place, to make sure that if you don't have a number, things don't happen. You get what you measure.
So they have to register.
Right. So first you get folks registered, and then we were able to push out the opportunities, but also identify and remove the roadblocks. And again, we had a great set of business minds that were in the room that would be able to help identify those things and move forward from there.
Right. Jim?
What are the requirements specifically? What are like the financial requirements of a company to qualify to get the contracts?
To get county contracts. So there's two separate things that happen. One is the contractors or the vendors. For any of the contracts we have in the county, we do $1.8 billion worth of business in Westchester County. We do $1.5 million of contracting work. And a lot of times people focus on MWBE/DBE on the construction work, but there's so many other things that happen in the county, even in a construction job. So for example, project management, right? The person that's doing the project management doesn't have to have a hard hat and a chisel in the hand to be able to do those kind of things. That's one kind of opportunity. We have a lot of services that we do. We have the people that do bonding. We have the people that go out and procure additional services and purchase material like pens and paper and all those kind of things. And in previous administrations, there was a requirement that a specific contract level had to go to an MWBE firm, or you needed to come up to the administration to say something different. So there's not a requirement, a financial requirement that says I'm a business and I need to be at this level before I could participate in the county. One of the challenges is with many small businesses, it doesn't matter whether it's an MWB business or not, it's a small business, which is the backbone of business around the country. Those folks are usually a force of one. So they're doing the accounting, they're doing the staffing, they're doing the sales work, as well as performing whatever service that they're trying to do. What we're trying to do with this MWBE task force is remove some of those roadblocks so that small business can be in a position to participate and get involved in contracts. The county's procurement contract is set by law, where we put out bids for specific work over a certain dollar amount. The dollar amount is $20,000. After $20,000 for many things, except professional services, has to go out to a bid, and you have to be a responsible bidder. We put all those things online. We send out a weekly email newsletter that says here's the jobs that we are looking for bids for, looking for workers for, and there's a specific section that says if you're an MWBE business, if you identify that is something that would be something that we're really looking to encourage. So there's not a threshold, Jim, to say this is how much money you have to be involved with.
What percentage of MWB people do you have working on contracts in the county now?
So right now, we just did a report for, we've got a report for last year, and the minority and women business enterprise utilization was a little less than 4%, right? So out of all of the contracts that we did around the county, and again, it could be as simple as providing pens and paper to the people that need it, as well as the construction jobs, it was 4%. Over, like 3.8% overall, so we'll round it up to 4, right? That is a woeful number from a target perspective, because again, no one was really paying attention to that. It wasn't something that was a focus of activity, and again, you get what you measure. To put that in perspective, for the Mario M. Cuomo New York Bridge project and Tappan Zee Bridge replacement project, there was a number that was 15% at first, and then got moved to 20% to try to encourage those businesses to get involved. And again, there's so many different things outside of construction. So we're really going through the effort of helping to identify and give feedback to the individuals. What we found was the problem, that was a challenge. So someone puts their name on a list and they say, I'd like to find out about jobs with the county. Well, as a recovering legislator and a former elected official, I'm very familiar how we do things with an email blast. So if I send out an email, I know who clicked on it, who actually looked at it, who opened it, who clicked on something in the email, and we didn't have any of that information to be able to move from. So we had people that would get an email, and let's say Bob is a contractor that works on plumbing, and we send out an email to our list of people for electricians, and Bob gets that email, right? And Jim, you get that email. You turn around and you go, well, why am I getting this? I'm not a plumber. I'm an electrician. I shouldn't get that.
And
then
dichotomized.
all of a sudden, now the next time you get that email, it's junk mail.
Right.
And now you don't open it, and now you're not doing that. So we're going through that effort to help categorize better and then identify where we have gaps, and then work with our partners, and whether those partners are at the state and federal level, because they have those lists of databases, as well as our educational institutions, especially things like Westchester Community College, where there's certificate programs for specific type of activities to give those things an opportunity. The county funds right now the Women's Enterprise Development Center, WEDC, right? That does tremendous work, in partnership, and again, Ann Janiak and those folks do a great job as the executive director. But we have the ways of doing it. The problem is trying to make those connections and give people the opportunity to bid on work and see how they can do and perform.
When do you think that database will be?
Well, no, we've been working on that, and then Bridget Gibbons has been doing a fantastic job of this, and talking about the different kinds of economic development opportunities that we have as a county, as basically the voice of economic development for County Executive Latimer at this point in time, that we're working on that database, screening and cleaning that database, actually contacting those individuals. During the summer, we had some interns that came in and that we utilized them to actually physically contact people to say, hey, are you still interested in are you still in business, right? You know, a lot of times when you get a list the way that this list was, you know, you sign up and, you know, you went out of business, because many of the small businesses don't make it through that first year. And that's not unusual for anything, so we're going to continue that.
One of the things I'm concerned about, and from my days with the Chamber, we have had members who had, in these cases, women-owned businesses. One was minority and woman, both. They had an onerous process that they had to go through with New York State to be legitimized as a minority-owned business. How is that working out on the county level, and how do you know the bona fides? I mean, I can call you up tomorrow and say that I run a minority-owned business, and other than being shorter than most people, I don't have, you know.
I'm short too.
Well, and people would tell me I'm short as well, but at the end of the day, for your first question to say, how do we certify?
Yes.
And that's actually because of the laborious process to get certified at the state level as an MWB. You know, the decision, and that's what's working with the MWBE task force right now, to say, well, if you're certified at the state, that means you should get a check mark automatically in Westchester. You don't need to certify again, right? That makes perfect sense. If you certify with an agency like the Dormitory Authority, which is a little separate than a certification for MWBE altogether, you should be able to do
that too.
Exactly. So that's the kind of ways that we can get through that particular process. But the other thing, as you said, is that the challenge is, because these folks usually have a small amount of staff, they're doing everything. And, you know, what we're trying to do is work through giving people an infrastructure to do that through partnerships. So again, not the government trying to do it alone, in public-private partnerships, and whether that's working again with the Business Council or the County Association, you see I flipped them around this time, right, is to make sure that they get equal billing. Is at the end of the day, they're doing different things. They have some great programs to try to uplift our communities for the minority and women-owned businesses, again, that make up the backbone of our great country and the businesses.
Would the county consider breaking up existing contracts from one contractor to maybe dividing it between 4 and 6 or something, in qualified, competent minority and women-owned businesses sharing the bonanza?
Absolutely. What happens is right now the county contracting process allows and encourages that as it is. So if somebody comes in and they're bidding on a road project, and you know we have a bond capped of $10 million, so let's say it's a $5 million project, they can, when they make their bid, it's part of the consideration, and whether or not that bid is the best bid is your whole scope of work and your totality of work. So if you come in with a minority, a business, a women-owned business that is a part of your team, then that may score extra points in the scoring of your bid, and that is helpful for that. And that's the way that a lot of those businesses get involved. But we're doing something else. We have a couple of, you know, technology is a wonderful thing, and one of the things that we've been able to identify is some software that's out there that does exactly what you're talking about, which it helps us in 2 ways. The county's procurement process is laborious as it is, and it's done that way for a lot of reasons, for transparency, to make sure that there's not bad things happening as far as people getting shipped work and a friend getting work. That's part of the reason that that's there. But to break up those jobs into the bite-sized people and allow people to bid on the things that they can, and that component of that very large project,
that's part of the plan,
is part of the identification. So again, it's one of the things that we're working through to help identify that, and that has 2 purposes for us. You know, quite frankly, it helps us get through the projects that we have faster, because if you know, as a business, I can guarantee that I'm going to have, $500,000 worth of business over the next year, that makes life a little bit
Who do
easier.
they
Lets
call?
you hire.
Who do they call?
So right now, right now we have in our economic development office, there is a number, but if they call the general number for our for the county, the 995-2900, that's the county executive's line, right? I do not. I'll say that again slower. Again, 914-995-2900. Then that would be the switchboard for us, and then we would get you to the Office of Economic Development.
George, I need a job.
But more importantly, that you also can go online on the county's website at westchester.gov, and that's westchester.gov.com. And if you go there, you'll be able to see the opportunity for business and doing business with Westchester County. We've been really transparent. The County Executive Latimer has done a fantastic job, and certainly with our communications team led by Catherine Chiappi, to make sure that we're trying to streamline how we're doing things. I know some exciting things that are happening as we continue to morph on how we're doing things as far as making sure information gets out.
Tim.
How do you, with minority businesses, it has to be minority owned? Let's say, for instance, you have black ownership, and then he has, let's say, 10 white employees. Does that?
That would count. Again, it's the ownership of the
about the
business,
ownership, right?
It's not about who works in the firm. And Bob asked the question earlier: how do you check the bona fides, et cetera? That's what that whole process is about, so that you don't have individuals. And this happened a lot with women-owned businesses, right? That it was really the husband's business, and they put their wife's name just on it, and they really weren't a participant and active partner, right? And that is, and simply, a lot of times, my wife tells me that we're partners all the time. So I'm pretty sure that everyone feels that way.
One is always silent.
Really? Silent?
But at the end of the day,
This is TV.
but to go and certify that it's actually the ownership of the person that's running it. We have a Latino business that's in construction, that's women-owned, Latino, and it's a family business. So their family's been around doing business in Westchester.
She was on the panel, wasn't
That's
she
right.
not? That's
She is on the panel for over 40 years from a family business. She's the principal owner now, right? And again, they were already an BE business, a minority business, but now it's a women-owned business, and they're doing tremendous work around the county, and again, and around the state, and she's actually working in a couple of other states around as well. So that's what we need to continue to work on.
Will the task force reach out to private sector employers to introduce minority and women-owned businesses to the private sector?
So as opposed to reaching out, the intention, as Bridget Gibbons explained at the meeting with the task force, is that once we have this database available, to make that database available as a shared service to not only other municipalities, but to the public at large, right? So again, if someone, a lot of times, I'm sure that we've all heard this, no matter where our travels have been, I can't find X.
Absolutely.
So what happens is that, under County Executive George Latimer's leadership, what he's trying to do is make sure that we have that level of opportunity and available for everyone. So whether it's a private entity, a local municipality, or inside of our county government, that we're making that data available so that we can all get engaged and involved. Because at the bottom line, if you can get the job done for the cost that you want, and have it executed, you certainly want to use a local business to do that, and we certainly have great examples of that for here in Westchester.
Will there be a public relations campaign, mailings to all minority women-owned businesses advising how they can apply, openings, contracts?
Well, something, and again, the County Executive Latimer has been doing a bunch of things with Bridget Gibbons as far as economic development is concerned. We did an incubator program and an accelerator outreach that was done at Westchester Community College, and in partnership with that. So we're looking forward to partnering with the Business Council on this particular thing, on the GROW conference that's coming up. I believe that's in the beginning of November, and that kind of outreach will happen and continue to happen. And again, it's a partnership with the community college that provides the classroom and the training environment with a place like the Business Council that is, they'll tell us, the largest member organization. They have the most members in their organization, to be able to partner and move forward with those minority and women businesses. And incubators are fantastic because we can do an incubator in different areas. So there was a plan at one time to do an incubator for biotech, right? And that's part of the proposal that was for the North 60 that sits right now. That was while I was a legislator, that was presented, that it would be an incubator. So you have a small business get involved in that incubator space, and when they grow, then they're growing into one of the other office spaces that are available, whether it's there or somewhere else around the county. Accelerators are another twist on that, where we are able to take that, bring people together in an incubator type environment to do a specific activity or a specific kind of work. And I'm looking so forward to it because Bridget Gibbons has been doing a fantastic job of going out to the different communities, connecting with their business associations, and letting people know how we have these opportunities and how we can move forward.
That's a big step then as part of this program of the task force to bring in more minority business is the Grow Conference.
Well,
that
is
going to be a major
absolutely
feature?
that is a feature. But one of the major points right now is there's things we can do right now.
Yeah.
So for example, the folks that are watching us, whenever they're watching us, or whether they do it online and whether they're watching us, they can go on the computer right now and fill out the forms that are available now to participate, at least in the public works arena. So that you can say, this is the kind of work that I do, and you can move forward with that.
How about legal services, PR work?
So what happens is, again, when we do that, we have to bid that work out. So when we use an outside firm to do PR, for example, or design a website, the county must put that out to a website, to a request for proposal. So what happens is those individuals should connect with us through the economic development portal on the county's website and let us know that they're interested, because once that happens, we'll be doing the work right now to make sure that we're not sending people information that is not that's not in their bailiwick, that's not their business. We'll make sure that we're doing a much better job of isolating and sending to the people that actually might want to do that work, and then we'll be doing a digital follow-up and calls to make sure that the
Will
people
there be probation periods so they won't be automatically eliminated by not having as much experience as we would like?
You know something, that's not how the request for proposal process works, right?
Maybe it should.
No. I mean, we don't have a probation period for a business. If I'm a business and I bid on a job, I look at the bids. Is it a responsible bid? As long as I am the lowest responsible bidder, then I'm going to get that work. The challenge is a lot of times is that people don't even know those opportunities exist.
But you could have a shorter contract.
Whether it's a shorter contract or more likely broken down into pieces that someone can take on, right? A lot of times, the government process almost makes us make really big projects that have 1,000 little steps that we can break up. And we can isolate some of those. When I was on the board of legislators, we had that's absolutely the plan, and that's absolutely the direction that Director McDonald is working through, because again, it helps us get projects done faster, right? So if we can get a quality product done and we can get it faster, we walked in the door. And when I was a legislator, there was $1.2 billion. When I was chairman of the board of legislators, there were $1.2 billion worth of approved capital projects. That meant it went through the board of legislators, and it was now in the administration's hands, right? When we walked in the door, it was $1.7 billion of approved projects that were waiting to be done. And again, there's a challenge in doing that with people power and staffing, but more importantly, if you break up some of those jobs and put some of them together, now you can do something. So let's say we're doing roofs, for example, right? We're doing roofs around the park system.
Raising bridges on the Hutch.
Raising bridges on the Hutch may be a little more specialized, but doing roof work, someone doing painting, someone doing asphalt and paving, those things we do and we can break those jobs up to ensure that we can get as much participation from everyone as possible. And again, it's not trying to dish out work to a specific individual group of people. It's trying to make sure that everyone feels that there's a fair and equal
there's an
opportunity
application.
and doing that.
Right, Bob.
No, I'm fascinated by all of this. Do you work with some of the organizations that are really agencies like West Hab that want to get people employed? Can they get involved in this?
Absolutely. Again, because we have all of our not-for-profit partners that we work with. County Executive Latimer had a presentation for the nonprofit partnership, and for the Westchester County Foundation. There's a lot of organizations that we continually work with to say, hey, here's these opportunities, and we tell people every chance that we get a chance to is make sure you're signing up on the website. And again, signing up on the website is step one. We're working through things to eliminate some things. We have some policy opportunities in the budget cycle that we'll be able to work through. I will tell you, just because we ask the questions, when you ask the questions, you get results. So I could tell you that just by asking what's our MWBE participation in our county contracts, I would tell you that the departments have been making an effort, especially in the Department of Public Works and Department of Environmental Facilities, to actually go out to get contractors that are in those.
I was fascinated by something that you said in the beginning. You mentioned that for 2 years, that which was the law to do this wasn't happening. Whose job would it have been to hold the county then accountable for that?
Well, you know, that would have been one of the legislators that would have said, hey, wait a second, you know, there's a requirement in law, it's Section 330, for those of you who want to go look it up, it's Section 330 of the county law, right, that says that there is a best effort policy and a mandatory annual report that's supposed to be done. And so the next question would be, all right, now that you have that annual report, who actually gets it, right? And that is something that we need to send. We would get sent down to the Board of Legislators. But because, you know, from the challenges that were going between the administration and the Board of Legislators, it would have been looked at as just another fight, as opposed to saying we're really trying to work through this effort. And again, you get what you measure.
How has the public response been to the initiative so far? Have you gotten a lot of new inquiries?
Not only have we gotten new inquiries, we have had tremendous support from everyone in Westchester County. Again, the County Association, Westchester County Association, and the Business Council of Westchester are certainly focused on making sure that everyone feels that they have an opportunity. And again, business is business. You know, if we get people that are business owners in Westchester County, they're going down to the mall and they're spending money here in White Plains. They're buying and they're having their folks getting really reasonable pay so they can afford to live in all the great housing that the folks in White Plains are doing. You know, there's a real great cycle by having that local business be here and be minority and women owned. But, you know, more importantly in Westchester, again, those tax dollars come in, and then we don't have to come out to the taxpayer.
Winds up with that. Well, Ken Jenkins, Deputy County Executive, the task force man on minority and business owners and women business owners.
Yes.
You have been heard, and thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, John, for allowing me to be heard.
Right. Thank you,
Bob,
Bob,
thank you.
and thank you, Jim, and good night for people to be heard.